What's up guys, my name is Ace, and one of the big things I've been very curious about leading up to the Black Ops 7 beta is how the movement is going to be different from Black Ops 6, including the sliding movement, but also the fact that they've removed tac sprint as our default movement type, but increased our base sprint speed in order to compensate for that. So in today's video, I did some basic beta tests. Of course, I didn't test like every gun in the game or anything. It's just a beta. I'm not going that hard when it comes to testing. And also the testing methodology is a little bit limited here in the beta because I have to do it in public matches. So I have to find a good place away from the action and hope I don't get shot while doing testing at the back of the map. So there's definitely some room for error here as well. This is meant to just provide a general indication of some differences between the two. So diving right in, I decided to test the Raiden 45K SMG with no attachments equipped on it. And let's first have a look at our basic movement speed values here relative to the C9 in Black Ops 6 because they have a very comparable base walking speed. With the Raiden, it's roughly 4.95 meters per second, whereas the C9 in Black Ops 6 is 5 meters per second, so pretty close there. That was one of the few close comparisons that I had to pick from. And in Black Ops 7 with the Raiden 45K, our base sprint speed is about 7.05 meters per second. Again, without any perks equipped, so this is without the tac sprinter perk or lightweight or anything like that. Whereas in Black Ops 6 with the C9, again, with no perks equipped here, it's 6.65 meters per second, which is very noticeably slower. However, with this, we would of course have the ability to tac sprint as well. So this is that change they were talking about where they said they boosted our base sprint value to compensate for the fact that we were losing tactical sprint. And we will look at a tactical sprint comparison with these in a little bit when using the tac sprinter perk in Black Ops 7. But then finally for these base values, our aim walking speed when moving forward on the Raiden 45K is 3.45 meters per second, whereas in the C9, it's 3.6 meters per second. So noticeably slower in Black Ops 7, at least on this particular gun. And I think this is due to the fact that there are now multiple attachments that we can use in different slots to improve our aim walking speed in Black Ops 7, whereas in Black Ops 6, there was only one attachment slot on the C9 that could have any impact on that. So I am curious to see if the potential is still going to be there when it comes to aim walking speed or not. But time will tell on that once we get the full build and I can really properly get my hands on it. And by then we'll also have the advanced stats screen to work with. But next up, let's compare this to the Slipstream perk in Black Ops 6, which of course gets rid of tac sprint and increases our base sprint speed. And then on top of that, a lot of people didn't know this, it boosts all of our movement speeds across the board. So with Slipstream, our base walking speed is now roughly 5.65 meters per second. So a huge boost there when using Slipstream. Then our sprint speed itself is 7.38 meters per second, which is noticeably better than what we're seeing with the Raiden 45K. And then our aim walking speed is also boosted here. So it's very clear that they didn't just build Slipstream in like many people were suspecting would be the case. Sure, we did see a notable boost to our sprint speed, but not even close to the amount that we saw with the Slipstream perk in Black Ops 6. However, we do have the lightweight perk in Black Ops 7, so let's have a look at that for comparison's sake. And I was a bit surprised to find, even though it states that it improves your movement speed, it only seems to apply to your sprint movement speed with the lightweight perk. Our base walking speed and our aim walking speeds were untouched when using this. However, my sprint speed was boosted up to 7.5 meters per second, which now comes out ahead over the Slipstream perk. So in that sense, when we're just talking about sprinting, comparing Slipstream with the C9 versus lightweight with the Raiden 45K, we can sprint faster with the Raiden 45K in Black Ops 7. The downside is we don't get those benefits elsewhere. It only applies to sprinting. So definitely some interesting data there. Now let's have a look at tac sprint, which of course in Black Ops 7, you do have to use the tac sprinter perk in order to even gain the ability to use tac sprint, whereas in Black Ops 6, no perk required. This was just the standard movement. And if you use Slipstream, it would eliminate the use of tactical sprint. And as we can see here with the Raiden 45K and this perk, our tactical sprint speed is 8.15 meters per second, which is actually a little bit faster than our tactical sprint speed on the C9 in Black Ops 6. And also, while our standard sprint speed is reduced in Black Ops 7 when using this perk down to 6.85 meters per second, it's still better than what we were experiencing with the C9 without any perks equipped. Additionally, you can combine the tac sprinter perk with lightweight in Black Ops 7, and it will give you a slight boost to your tactical sprint speed, but it is a very minor boost. However, it still does give a very notable boost to our base sprint speed, even when using the tac sprinter perk. And so it's quite interesting based on these results here. In some ways, we're faster in Black Ops 7 compared to Black Ops 6, especially when sprinting and using the lightweight perk, for instance. However, we definitely lost some of the power that was gained with the Slipstream perk back in Black Ops 6. And despite what many people were thinking leading into Black Ops 7, they absolutely didn't just build in Slipstream as the default movement for Black Ops 7. So some interesting results there, but that's just looking at our movement speeds. I think what a lot of people are really curious about, myself included, is the slide speed. Because one of my issues throughout the year of Black Ops 6 is I did feel they took the slide a little bit too far, especially with sideways sliding. Even though I'm somebody that adapted to that and used sliding like crazy, I just felt it was a bit awkward that just kind of took over as the default method of getting around the map and challenging gunfights all the time, because it was simply the most effective because the slide was so powerful. So what I was kind of hoping for coming into Black Ops 7, knowing that there would be Omni movement, I was hoping they would tone back the slide just a little bit. I still want it to be a decent technique, I still want it to be reasonably powerful, I just didn't want it to be quite as crazy as what we saw in Black Ops 6. And with them mentioning that they did tone back Omni movement a little bit, they weren't really specific as to what they toned down. So let's have a look at the slide, and we'll first take a look at a forward slide, using the same guns that we've done all the testing with up until this point. And honestly, looking at them side by side here, this looks pretty much the same. The duration is identical on that slide. It does appear the distance is pretty much the same as well. Unfortunately, in the Black Ops 7 beta, when you get within 15 meters of a marker that you can place on the map, it doesn't show you distances. Whereas in Black Ops 6, I can see distances to the nearest decimeter. I can't see that in Black Ops 7, and therefore I can't do that exact testing, which is what I was planning on doing. So we kind of just have to look at it side by side and gauge what it looks like. But as far as I can tell here, this slide appears to be essentially identical, at least. And when it comes to a sideways slide, once again, it does appear to be at least so similar that I can't tell any obvious difference between these two. Maybe there's a slight adjustment in there somewhere, but as far as I can tell, this looks pretty much exactly the same on the left versus the right. And so I don't think they actually tune sliding at all when it comes to this, or at least not to a noticeable margin. And that's been my experience when playing as well, is it really didn't feel any different in Black Ops 7 compared to Black Ops 6 when using that slide. Which I know some of the movement gods will hate me for saying this, but I was a little disappointed to see this. Like I said, I still want sliding to be a very viable technique. I want it to be reasonably powerful. I just think it took over a little too much in Black Ops 6, and I think that absolutely pushed a lot of the more casual player base away because it was just too much to keep up with. And so I think a better balance overall for the health of the game would be to at least slightly tone back that slide, even if it were just when sideways sliding. It would make sense logically to have a little less power when doing that compared to a forward slide, where I think you should be able to maintain a bit more momentum. But as far as I can tell, no adjustments were made here to the slide itself. And that's pretty much it. That's going to wrap it up for the main topics I wanted to focus on in today's video. And now that you guys have seen the numbers as well as these side-by-side comparisons, how are you feeling about the movement in Black Ops 7 compared to Black Ops 6? Of course, we didn't talk about wall jumping as well. Obviously, that's also a new mechanic in Black Ops 7 that is worth mentioning, but obviously there's no side-by-side comparison to be had here. But overall, are you happy with these results? Like, do you like the fact that they eliminated tactical sprint by default and then boosted the sprint speed, but they didn't actually build in the Slipstream perk? What do you think about the fact that lightweight in Black Ops 7 only appears to boost our sprint speed and not our base walking speed or our aim walking speed? And how are you feeling about the fact that the slide appears to be essentially identical to Black Ops 6? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.